In this video, what we're going to be taking a look at is our next Inter VLAN routing capability, which we're going to be focusing in this video on an iOS router, iOS 6e. It doesn't really make much of a difference in how you do it. We're going to be focusing on using CSR11 as our router on a stick. So I'm actually going to disable layer 3 switching on switch 30, turning IP routing off, and we will allow the communication to happen on via switch 31 to CSR11 and see exactly how that works out. And what we need to do is on switch 31, on gig 1/0 right here, we actually need to convert that to a trunk link to allow all the VLANs to go up to CSR11 and communicate down. Now, I actually did not do something that I said I was going to do because I realized after I was done recording the last video, I don't really need to put that in there because it didn't really make much of a difference. So that's pretty much where it's at, because it'd be the same thing as me doing it over here. I didn't feel like being redundant. So what I'm going to show you is layer 3 switching up here and how that comes into play. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go over to switch 30. I'm going to type in no IP routing. Turn that off. And then I'm going to go over to R25 and show run type include IP route. And I'm going to pull this default route out and type in no IP routing. I'll go to 27 and 28 respectively and type in no IP routing. So they will literally just be a layer, an endpoint on the network. That's all they're literally going to be. So no IP routing. There we have it. So now we have to go over to switch 31. And on interface gig 1/0, I'm going to type in switch port trunk encap.1q, switch port modus trunk. We need to allow all the VLAN traffic on switch 31 to be able to go up towards CSR11. Now on CSR11, I'm going to come in here and bring the... I'm not going to walk you through the initial configuration dialog. If you want to go through that, you can. I have a video for that already done. I will pause the video while this is working on its thing. Alright, so CSR11 is now ready to go. What I'm going to go do is I'm going to go configure it to support what it is that I needed to do. So, whether you knew this or not, the main interface on every router or a firewall or on a, or I'll just leave it at that, even on a routed interface on a switch is VLAN 1, right? You don't, you can modify it if you'd like, but in order to allow it to be VLAN aware, you need to specify some sort of encapsulation other than VLAN 1. By default, VLAN 1 is going to be the main interface, the physical interface with no dot anything behind it. So if I type in interface gig 3, this is VLAN 1 traffic, right? It's global routing table, VLAN 1 all day long. So I'm just going to type in no shut, bring that port online. The main interface has to be unshut in order for this to work. So once this guy comes online, what we'll be able to do is I'll be able to create sub-interfaces. So what I'll do is I'll type in interface gig 3, actually let me do this, interface gig 3 question mark. And you'll notice that I have the ability of doing the range command, which I'm not going to do, or I can do a dot. If I type in the dot and then do a question mark, I can do a sub-interface number. Basically, I can do up to 4.2 billion if I want to. Basically, it's 1 to the 32nd, but I don't need to do that. I'm going to type in, and I like to keep the sub-interface number specific to the VLAN I'm working with. So if I'm working with VLAN 11, for example, it's going to be .11. Now the first thing that I need to do here, there's a lot of options. The very first thing that I need to do is specify the encapsulation. If I don't, if I type in IP address of 10.1.1.11/24, it's going to squawk at me and say, configuring IP routing on a LAN subinterface is only allowed if that subinterface is already configured as part of an IEEE 802.10, 1Q, or ISL VLAN. I don't know what this one is. I've never heard of that before, to be honest with you. So in order to fix this, I need to type in encapsulation.1q, and then the VLAN ID is 11. I specified that now, and I can go and apply the IP address, and everything is going to be good to go. Now the question will be on R25 is, can I ping 10.1.1.11? Once it ARPs for it, I can ping it. And if I go back to CSR11 and I do show ARP, I should see 25 show up in my ARP table, which is a great sign because that means I have end-to-end connectivity. Now, what if I want to do connectivity between multiple VLANs? Sure, I can just wash, rinse, and repeat the same process. So I'll come in here and I'll do .12 for VLAN 12. I'll hit the up arrow a couple times and I'll go to encapsulation .1q and 12. And then I'll hit the up arrow a couple times and I'll swap out the IP address for 10.1.2.11. So do show IP interface brief. Pretty straightforward stuff, right? And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to 26 and I will ping 10.1.2.11. Give that a second to ARP and the ping replies. I go back to CSR11 and do show ARP. We can see that I'm starting to learn a number of additional ports. Now if I go to 27 and do a ping to 10.1.2.11, that should also work, and do ping 10.1.2.11. That works as well. Go out back to CSR11, hit the up arrow, voila, I'm getting more and more to work. Now here's the question. Will I be able to ping between the VLANs now? So let's try 10.1.2.26. Give that a second. Oh no, why is it not working? Well, let's take a look at this now and see why it's not working. So now I have all this set up here. If I do a show IP route, routing is turned off. Notice my default gateway is set to the wrong address. So we'll type in IP default gateway is 10.1.2.11. Let's give that another try. Let's go back to 25. We'll hit the up arrow. Still not working. Okay, let's see why it's not working the way that it needs to. Okay, so we go back to CSR11. We can ping anything within inside of our VLAN, right? But we can't ping Inter VLAN. So let's figure out why we have a problem with that. The routing is enabled, right? Everything looks good there. If we were to ping, can we do a trace route and see what's going on? So we're trying to ping 10.1.2.26. Can we ping 10.1.2.11? Does that work? That worked. Okay, that's a good sign. What about 26 now? Still not resolving. So now we have a resolution problem. Now we have connectivity issues somewhere in the path. So let's just validate our config. And let's do a show VLAN brief. We have the VLANs here. And we do a show interface trunk. We have all of these guys set up. And we have, so we should be working, but we're not. So now we have a legit troubleshooting scenario where, okay, let's figure out why this isn't working the way that it needs to. The 26 is, let me pull this out real quick. But technically we don't need this in here. Go to 27. Let's try from 25 to 27. That worked. Okay. Let's try 28. That worked. Now let's try 26 again. So 26 does not like whatever it is that I'm doing. Okay, so now I have a problem where 26, so we need to isolate this. Is it somewhere on switch 31 or is it somewhere on switch 29? So let's go back to 26 and let's see what's going on here. Show IP interface brief. That looks all good. So we ping 10.1.2.11. When you ping that, we do a show ARP. We have all of that working. What's curious is we actually have this guy showing up here. We should not be seeing that. let's go to 27 and just say show ARP. So it is showing it for whatever reason, which is weird. It should not be showing that. And the reason why it should not be showing that is because gig 1/1 on this interface and 1/1 on this one. So let's double check 29. So show VLAN brief. Let's do a show run interface gig 1/1. So it's set up correctly. It's not trunking. Because all these ports or all these routers are acting as endpoints on the network, and the ports that they're attached to are simply configured to place them in that particular VLAN or that broadcast domain, so that should be working. So for whatever reason, let's take a look at 26. Can we ping the opposite way? Can we ping 10.1.1.11? We can ping that. Let's do a show ARP now. So that's working. Why can't we ping the other way around? And that's a little curious because we should be able to do this. Like, there's nothing in the network no reason why we shouldn't be able to do this. So let me look at this MAC address table. We have 001A is what I'm looking for. So on 29, show MAC address table dynamic for VLAN 12. It definitely sees it. If we go to 31 and show MAC address table dynamic for VLAN 12, we see it, gig 0/2, which is what we should expect to see it in. So we technically should be seeing it, but we're not. So let's go back to 25 and try that one more time. So something's wrong with the recursion. So let's do a trace route. It's going to be a layer 2 trace route. I know it's not going to work out quite the way that it's supposed to. Let's see exactly how far we can get. Actually, let me do this. I don't have domain lookup turned off, so I'll type in numeric so it doesn't try to do DNS recursion. So it gets to where it's got to go. But when I go back the other way, if I ping 10.1.1.25, it doesn't recurse back. It's like it's missing some information. So I look at CSR11 and I show ARP. I should be able to see this information. So 26 and 25's MAC addresses are correct. So for some reason it's not figuring out where it's supposed to go. Where the problem actually is, I'm not 100% sure yet, because we're resolving all the right information. But for whatever reason, it's not propagating the way that it needs to. And that's a bad sign. So 25 and 26 can't reach each other. When we look at what's a little unwieldy here is when we look at the show ARP, we're actually seeing more than what we should be seeing. What I mean by that is, when we look at this, we look at 001E here, and on 25, we do a Control-Shift-6 here. Do a show interface gig 0/0. We should be seeing, and it looks like we are, we're not seeing the right MAC address. That's the problem. So why are we not seeing the right MAC address? So on 26, he's seeing, in order to reach 10.1.1.25, we need to go figure out where this MAC address is. So what MAC address is that? Let's do on 29, let's do a show MAC address dynamic. And we'll do pipe to include this guy. That one is not showing up. Because what we should not be seeing, but we are, is if you look at R26, we should not be seeing anything from the 10.1 network at all. We should not be seeing this. Because when you're in a broadcast domain all by yourself, the only IP addresses that you should be seeing are the ones that you are in the subnet with you. In this case here, 10.1.26. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go interface gig 0/0, and I'm going to shut this port down. Let me just validate that on 27. 27 is seeing it too, and I don't know why. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to no shut the port, do the same thing at 25. That might have something to do with it. Flush the ARP table. Interface gig 0/0, shut it. Give that a second, and then no shut it. See if that maybe helps. So now if I go back down here and I do a ping 10.1.2.26, there it goes. So if we do a show ARP, now it's resolving the right. So it's becoming back 000B 00002, which should be right. So this is what I wanted it to be. The MAC address for these guys was not showing up as CSR11's subinterface or hardware address. So 25 was still seeing it as something else. I was looking at 26. It was seeing 10.1.1.25 as 0001E, which I think was switch 30's SBI MAC address. Let me just validate that real quick. Let's do a show interface VLAN 11 and VLAN 12. Yeah, see, it was still seeing the SBI of switch 30's SBI, its MAC address. So when 26 was trying to recurse to it, it goes, well, I don't know how to resolve that MAC address. So the ARP table needed to be flushed. And so now in order to, and normally that would happen a lot sooner because there would be no traffic. So what would end up happening is by flushing the MAC address table or the ARP table, I can now ping this guy all day, and I'm resolving the right MAC address because R25 is going to point itself to CSR11's MAC address for its layer 2 header. It's going to get to CSR11. CSR11 is going to receive that, the incoming ping or whatever the traffic is. It's going to rip the layer 2 header off. It's then going to go do a routing table lookup. So if we were to get to CSR11, it's going to receive the traffic inbound. It's going to say, okay, show IP route for 10.1.2.26. I happen to have a connected route in my routing table. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to switch you from the incoming interface of gig 3.11 to gig 3.12. That's where the Ceph process comes in. The Ceph process moves you from the incoming interface to the outgoing interface, and then I'm going to rebuild your layer 2 header. I'm going to source you with 5000000B0002, but with the destination MAC of 5000001A0000. And then I'm going to forward you on to wherever you're going to go. And that's how you resolve that. So that's basically how you do router on a stick on a router. So just make sure that you stay conscientious about the MAC address table propagation and resolving that information. Don't be afraid to flap an interface to flush the ARP table, because that's sometimes can be the problem. And here, that was the actual legit reason why that wasn't working. So that's pretty much it, guys. There's really not much more to it than that. And if you need more information or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. But that's layer 3 switching, or I'm sorry, router on a stick, and the basics to it. There's really not much more to it than that. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.